The morning after Jane's engagement is announced, the Bennet household is filled with a buzzing, bright kind of happiness, the kind that lifts everyone's spirits and loosens the tension that had felt tightly wound for months. Jane, usually composed and gentle, glows with a joy that softens even Mrs. Bennet's dramatic nature. Mrs. Bennet moves about the house in triumph, declaring loudly to anyone who will listen that she always knew it would happen. Elizabeth watches all of this with warmth. More than anyone, she knows how much Jane deserves a life of kindness and calm. She feels grateful, too, because she knows Darcy played a quiet but important role in bringing Bingley back into Jane's life. But that gratitude is mixed with something more complicated, an awareness that her own feelings toward Darcy have shifted so drastically that she no longer recognizes her former judgments of him. It is as if she has met two different men, the one she constructed in her mind, and the real man revealed slowly through his actions. Bingley visits almost every day now. His cheerfulness fills the house like sunlight, and every visit is a pleasant reminder that sometimes happiness unfolds in simple, genuine ways. But another visitor begins reappearing too, not as frequently, not as comfortably, and certainly not as easily. Darcy. He comes with Bingley at first, quietly, respectfully. Elizabeth notices immediately that something about him has changed, not his posture or his reserved nature, but his manner toward her. When he speaks to her, he does so with a gentle emphasis that feels different from the guarded formality he once used. His eyes, once cool and watchful, now hold a depth that she tries to understand. Elizabeth feels a strange nervousness when Darcy enters a room now. She wonders if he senses it. She hopes not, but at the same time, she hopes he does. These contradictions confuse her, and she spends more time than she admits replaying their conversations in her mind. Darcy seems equally uncertain. At times he approaches her, determined to speak. Then suddenly he seems to second-guess himself, withdraw, and leave his words unspoken. Yet Elizabeth can tell he is trying to show respect, trying to give her space, trying to understand if she might feel anything for him beyond polite gratitude. The emotional atmosphere between them becomes delicate, full of unvoiced questions. As days pass, the countryside prepares for winter, and with it comes the turning point of Elizabeth's story. One crisp morning, Elizabeth finds herself walking alone along a familiar path near Longbourn. The sun is pale behind a thin veil of clouds, casting a soft gray light across the fields. The wind feels cool and fresh, brushing lightly against her face. Her thoughts wander, from Jane's upcoming wedding to Lydia's reckless marriage to Darcy's letter that had changed everything. When she rounds a corner, she unexpectedly meets Darcy. He stops the moment he sees her, as if caught off guard. His expression shifts quickly, surprise, then uncertainty, and then a quiet determination. Elizabeth's breath catches slightly, though she manages a polite greeting. He walks beside her. Their pace slows naturally. The world around them seems to fall into a hushed calm. After a few moments, Darcy breaks the silence. "You must allow me," he begins, then stops, as though he is choosing every word with great care. "You must allow me to express how deeply I admire not only your understanding, but the generosity with which you received my past explanations." Elizabeth is taken aback. His voice carries sincerity, humility, and something unmistakably vulnerable. "I was wrong in many ways," Darcy continues softly. "Wrong in my behavior at the beginning of our acquaintance. Wrong in the pride I carried into every room, and wrong in how I allowed my own fears to guide my decisions regarding my friend." Elizabeth feels her heart respond, though she holds her silence for a moment, wanting to hear more. Darcy looks ahead, eyes steady but pained. "You had every right to reject me. I deserved your anger, and yet you have shown me more kindness than I had reason to expect." Elizabeth finally speaks. "You gave me much to think about, and I needed time to understand how my own judgments were influenced by pride, perhaps as much as yours were." Darcy turns toward her, astonished, not by her words but by the gentleness in them. Elizabeth continues, "I have been wrong too, Mr. Darcy, deeply wrong, about you, about myself, And I cannot think of your actions toward Lydia, toward all of us, without feeling. She pauses, searching for the right word. Without feeling immense gratitude. Darcy's expression shifts again, this time to something like cautious hope. But before he can respond, they are interrupted. Mrs. Gardiner, Elizabeth's aunt, appears at the far end of the path, calling for her. Darcy steps back slightly, as if the moment hangs unfinished in the air. Elizabeth offers a small smile, a wordless encouragement, and leaves him with a heart that is beating faster than she expected. The weeks leading to Jane's wedding pass in a blur. Bingley and Jane are inseparable in the quiet, peaceful way that suits them. Elizabeth often finds Jane lost in soft, dreamy thoughts, her smile never far from her lips. Mrs. Bennet talks endlessly about the wedding, the guests, the food, the dresses, the weather, and anything else that passes through her mind. She hardly sleeps for excitement. Mary spends her time practicing hymns she hopes to perform, though fortunately Mr. Bennet discreetly arranges that she will play only a very short selection to prevent guests from suffering through a full recital. Kitty flutters about, eager to show that she, too, might catch the eye of someone significant. Lydia writes letters boasting that she is the first Bennet sister to be married, despite her marriage being the least respectable. In the middle of this chaos stands Elizabeth, happy for Jane, thoughtful about her own future, and increasingly aware of the way Darcy moves in her life like a quiet, steady presence. Every conversation between them now feels meaningful, as if each word is a step toward something neither is ready to name aloud. Darcy visits Longbourn less frequently than Bingley, but each time he does, Elizabeth sees another glimpse of the man she once refused, and the man she now sees with clearer eyes. His subtle kindness, his respect for her father, his appreciation of her wit, his softened manner, all of it weaves a new understanding. And yet nothing is spoken openly, not yet. On the day of the wedding, excitement fills every inch of Longbourn. Jane looks radiant in her gown, simple, elegant, and perfectly suited to her gentle nature. Bingley beams so brightly it seems as though he might float away with happiness. After the ceremony, Elizabeth sees Darcy from across the room. He stands in quiet dignity, watching with an expression that blends contentment and something deeper, something that seems directed not at Jane and Bingley, but at Elizabeth herself. Their eyes meet. And in that brief moment, Elizabeth realizes something undeniable. She wants to speak to him, truly speak, not with careful politeness or guarded distance, but openly, honestly, heart to heart. But before she can make her way to him, Caroline Bingley intercepts Darcy, talking animatedly in an attempt to keep his attention. Elizabeth finds herself drawn into conversations with other guests. The moment slips away. Darcy leaves early. Elizabeth feels the absence sharply. A few days after the wedding, Elizabeth returns home from a long walk. Her mind has been spinning again, around Darcy, around her past mistakes, around the possibility of a future she had never imagined before. As she approaches the house, she sees a carriage stopping at the gate. A tall figure steps out. Darcy. Elizabeth stops mid-step, her breath catching. Darcy notices her immediately and hesitates, then comes toward her. There is no one around, no noise, just the cool winter air, the bare branches above them, and the soft crunch of gravel beneath their feet. Darcy's voice is quiet but steadier than before. "Miss Bennet, I have come to inquire after your family, but if I may, there is something else I wish to say." Elizabeth's heart begins to pound. He takes a breath. "Whatever my actions have been in the past, whatever mistakes I have made, my feelings are the same. If you no longer wish to hear them, I will remain silent forever. But if there is any hope, any possibility, that your feelings have changed." He stops. His voice falters for the first time. Elizabeth steps closer. "Mr. Darcy," she says softly, "my feelings have changed very much." For a moment, Darcy cannot speak. His eyes close briefly, as though he is steadying himself against the force of the words he has waited so long to hear. When he opens them again, they are filled with a deep, quiet joy. He takes her hand, carefully, reverently. Then you will accept me. Elizabeth's smile is full of warmth. Yes. The world seems to settle in perfect stillness. Then Darcy's expression softens into something she has never seen before, pure happiness. They walk together toward the house, their hands brushing, their hearts aligned not by sudden passion, but by understanding, growth, and a love earned through trials. A love stronger than either pride or prejudice.